Let me introduce Suo, the 33rd Demon Lord and the eldest son of the Francis family named Noah. They are people inside the absolute oblige game with hundreds of scenarios. It is a story about a man from the real world who was transferred inside the game to become the scummy evil noble who would change the whole story of the game with his hard work and love for his muscles. In an isolated mansion in the mountains, Noah ordered his men to throw huge rocks at him so he could use his strength ability. He had been practicing his fire magic, but all he could produce was a part of a baby dragon. He dropped to the ground, frustrated about his magic abilities. His butler rushed at him worriedly, so he told him he was fine because he still had a long time to go. A little girl came running to him, and he screamed when she tackled him down sneakily. Kiara, Noah's little sister, asked if he was finished with his training and if he could play with her now, but he said they weren't done because he still had to study. Kiara mentioned that she was surprised because he used to hate studying and exercising. She stood up and told him to play with her tomorrow before leaving. Noah looked down because he somehow missed his daily routine as a student who loves playing games. When he woke up as Noah Francis, he knew he was playing the role of the nasty villain. Lord Francis was extremely rich and could even buy your mom. He had a twisted personality who would resolve everything with money, and no matter the route you took in the game, Noah always gets executed by the demon Lord Suo by getting crushed with gravity magic. Noah even had a merchandise called Noah Dies. The new Noah refused to end up like that, so he trained even if he had no talent. He did 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 20 laps of running. Noah forgot the 100 squats. That is the Saitama way, or maybe he was Armstrong. He decided to become strong and defeat the demon lord alongside the hero. It was night already, and he was waiting for his sister for dinner. Sivas, his butler, approached him and asked what they should do about the slave. This butler was once a highly skilled assassin who served their family for years. Based on the guidebook, whenever Noah orders him to execute someone, Sivas always lets them escape instead. The butler asked his lord if he should execute the slave, but Noah exclaimed not to hurt them in any circumstances. A huge question mark lingered in the room, making him panic. Noah sat properly and asked Sebas to release the slaves and give them a job instead. The butler was caught off guard again, so Noah asked if there was a problem, but Sebas just couldn't imagine his lord saying such a thing because he had recently ordered him to execute a person who spilled wine on him, one who blocked the hall, and another who only mispronounced his name a few days ago. Noah chuckled awkwardly because he had caused trouble to everyone in the house, so he thanked them. However, the servants' eyes widened in extreme shock. They started screaming like the world was ending because their lord was sick. The following day, Noah and his buffed servants were training with him, half naked. They were even chanting their muscle song to keep their blood pumping, and recently he could feel he was getting closer to Sebas, who was currently looking at him as if he were his grandchild. The butlers weren't holding back on him and flipped their boss over as if their jobs weren't on the line. Noah was somehow scared of his servant's strength, but a status screen flashed in a blink. It was pretty decent. Sebas told him he lacked biceps and back muscle, so Noah went to the bench to work on it. Sebas noticed his lord was becoming more dazzling and suddenly realized Noah might have no knowledge about the true charm of muscles, so he went on flexing and telling him to talk with their muscles. Noah gasped in fear because he thought they would be sparring, but all those faded away when the others began striking a pose and talking dirty with their muscles. When it was his turn, they placed him in front of a mirror, so he copied their poses and told his muscles they were bulky and shredded, and it somehow made him feel good. I wish you were not trying this out now because I would call the mental health center for you. Since his love for his muscles was conveyed, they started with their laps, and Noah was running behind them. All of his butlers were too fast, but he wouldn't lose, so he activated his strength. Sivas noticed his lord was now running beside him, so he increased his speed. He got worried because he might get fired for leaving his boss behind, but he was surprised to see Noah catching up to him. He realized he became more enduring and always sports a smile while working, but he had to surpass himself. After a long, tiring day, Noah could now rest. He was giggling alone because he got 4 more skills at the end of his day. While he was too busy admiring his work on the screen, Kira jumped on his stomach, asking him to play with him. He apologized because he still had something to study, but she pouted and asked him if studies were more important than her. A servant came in saying he thought of new ways to train, but when he noticed Kira, he invited the two of them with his widest smile. He was rejected and left. Kira sighed and asked him if he had noticed that servant's smile. She explained that there was a huge gap between them and the staff because they were all scared of him. The only maid she thought of as her friend even left because of her brother. She doesn't want that to happen again. However, the past few months have been different. The staff were now respecting him. She slumped her face on his chest to wipe her tears on his clothes. She looked at him and said she was happy. Noah and Kira's mother perished, and their father was always away for work. She only trusted her brother, but had many painful memories due to his evilness. Her happiness depends on him, so he decides to become a better brother for her. It was just like having his little brother. He promised her that she would protect her. He grabbed his clothes and threw them off, saying he trained his gorgeous body to protect her, but Kira's innocent eyes just got stained. She sighed and asked if he knew what the servants had been calling him. He asked if it was Mr. Hunk, but she stomped on the floor and said it was a muscle idiot. She stormed out of the room, calling him a stupid fool, leaving him speechless. She opened the door again, called him a fool for the 3rd time, and left. He tightened his fist and swore that he would train more because he would not stay as a muscle idiot and became the super muscle idiot instead. What a motivation for a fool. On the other side, Kira was walking back to her room when she remembered his promise to protect her. She was so happy to hear it from Noah's mouth for the first time, But suddenly, an invisible force wrapped around her arms and waist. Kiara gasped because she couldn't move, and when he spotted a maid, she tried screaming for help, but the force covered her mouth. Her voice was muffled, and before the maid could even see her, she was gone from the hall. While some powerful person abducted Noah's sister, Noah was finally finished with his set. He lay on the ground, huffing for air while resting, so he closed his eyes, unconsciously activating his detection skill. He saw the staff around the mansion like a CCTV camera, but one thing caught his attention. His eyes widened. He got up in shock and heard someone pounding on the door. Sibas told him Kiara was kidnapped, but Noah opened the door and said he saw it through his detection skills. Sibas informed him all of their guards were defeated and told him to stay in the mansion because they were up to a skilled person, but Noah said he needed to go because his sister was waiting for him. The butler smirked proudly so he would take the lead to assist his lord. They marched forward at full speed to follow them, and when they reached the nearby forest, Sibas spotted the culprit on top of the cliff. He noticed his little sister tied up, and when Sibas just said they would run around the mountain, Noah said no. He activated his strength, gave his butler a signal, and when he was near him, he jumped to Sibas and gave him a boost upwards. When he got to the top, he screamed, telling the man to let her go. The man placed Kiara down because his plan to lure him to the group failed, so he pulled down his hood to greet him. Noah asked who he was, so the man figured he didn't remember that he used to be their guard for years. His coworker, a guard, also made a mistake, and he got furious because Noah had his friend executed. Noah knew this guy wouldn't listen to him even if Sibas let everyone go. He used his appraisal skill, and seeing it made him realize there was no way he could win as he was now. He was far too strong, and the man knew it. He smirked because his old boss couldn't do anything on his own because he was a piece of trash. The man added that Noah was one without talent, dignity, or culture, and the pest of the Francis family because all he could do was annihilate someone with only a word. He called Noah a naked emperor that no one loved. Hearing his outburst made Kiara's eyes teary, and when she couldn't bear it anymore, she bumped her head to his side, loosening the gag on her mouth. She sobbed as she said that her brother had been saddled with responsibilities ever since, and everyone around him had been mocking him, but she was the only one who could see that Noah was trying his best. The man gritted his teeth in anger and slapped her face. Noah screamed her name worriedly, but Kiara continued that her brother may have a twisted mind. She lifted her head and said that he was still her brother. Noah smiled and paused for a moment. He said he was sorry about what he did and could never forgive himself for that. He punched his cheeks and shook them. Kiara even looked like Zeus struck her. Noah said he wouldn't mind even if he would kill him, but he won't forgive him if he makes Kiara cry anymore. He walked closer, making the man feel the shiver down his spine, so he immediately grabbed Kiara and told him there was no use acting high and mighty because he would kill her and make him feel the same pain he did. Noah told his sister to hang on for a while and started doing squats with his muscle song. The man was pissed because he thought Noah's warm-ups were to mock him, so he lifted his arm to crush him. Luckily, Noah saw it and dodged it on time. The tree snapped to pieces because this man trained day in and day out for this skill, and would crush his body next. The invisible arms became visible to him, so Noah easily dodged it. The man laughed as he rained his punches, and when he managed to knock him down, he mockingly asked where his muscle power and confidence went. Noah smirked and said that he had been working harder to be the man who would defeat the demon lord one day. The man said it was bull poop, but Noah had no plan on perishing on his hands, so he activated his strength skill, and when the arm came charging towards him, he remained calm and waited for a perfect moment. In a blink, he used his flash step, shocking the man because the Noah he knew shouldn't have any kind of talent. Little did he know, the man he cursed was already behind him, saying he had rebelled against his weak self and surpassed his limits. He attacked the enemy with the pride of being the heir of their family. A moment later, the man was tied up, asking them to execute him so he could meet his friend in the next life. Noah asked his butler what they should do next, but Sibas's calm aura changed. There was a killing intent lingering around him, making the man poop his pants. Noah said no because, in a way, his man was also one of his victims, and it was his fault. He revealed that he knew how Sibas let go of all the people he ordered to execute. Hearing it made the man speechless because his friend had been alive all this time. Sibas nodded and guaranteed his friend's safety, making him smile in tears and thanking him. There were nearby voices calling for Noah and Kiara. It looks like the staff also began looking around, so Noah decided to tell them their story of why they got there, to stargaze. Sibas agreed and commented that he really did change a lot. Noah may have been an oddball, but he was now a muscle-loving noble. He lifted her sister in the air, making Kiara flush, and said she's not a kid anymore. The staff had seen the siblings laughing under the stars with only Sibas with them. On the other side, Cecil, a noblewoman, closed her book, wondering what kind of a person her fiancé was. The person she mentioned was no other than Noah Francis. Noah suddenly sneezed. It had been a few months since he first came to his world, and he had grown closer to the people around him, and he had gotten pretty used to being in Noah's body. More importantly, Noah has come to realize how wonderful muscles are, thanks to these wonderful butlers. The others, being not too used to seeing their boss stripping, still get amused and shocked by this. Noah claimed the letter, and when he opened it, his eyes widened in shock. He was informed that his fiancée was chosen, and it turned out to be Cecil Edward, a woman gifted with both beauty and intelligence. Even the real Noah was charmed by her beauty. 2 years from now, he knew he would be meeting Cecil in Absolute Academy, but the woman fell in love with the hero. After discovering his villainous deeds, Cecil decides to break off their engagement and makes Noah go berserk and seek revenge. There was that painful line he remembered from Cecil, and Noah slammed to the floor because if he got to hear those from her, he might never be able to get back up again. To avoid that heartbreak, he figured not meeting her would be best so he could focus on training his body and annihilate the Demon King instead. Siva stayed beside him through his training when Leon came. He was Noah's sword instructor, an A-ranker adventurer who had been guiding him. Noah bragged about keeping up with the 100 swings daily, and when his trainer noticed a heavy rock wrapped around the sword he gave, he seemed impressed, I think. Does that look impressive to you? Lan told him an heir must do this much, but Noah already knew it and was so eager to get strong. He excused himself to continue his warm-up and did 20 laps of bunny jumps with these two monsters while chanting their muscle song. Leon watched him, thought their lord spares no effort, and was not satisfied with merely doing what was expected to push himself to greater heights. Leon was so amazed by his diligence and pure heart. Noah had surpassed Leon's expectation for a noble and thought he would stand by to watch over him. He may have looked emotionless, but he was so happy for Noah. Even the demon lord shall know the fear that is the pure raw power of muscle. Meanwhile, a girl twitching on the floor had been there for a while because she was out of mana. This was Freya, Noah's magic teacher. She was so frustrated because that noble kid kept asking her to fire powerful magic at him while swinging his weird, heavy sword. She thought of him as a crazy muscle lover. When Noah noticed his magic teacher was awake, he waved at her, asking her to join their muscle training. He flexed a little to show her building muscles would improve her stamina, and when the hunks came closer to join him, he pulled her to join them while the two did his side chest do. Freya got away from them and decided to quit this hell, but suddenly, a warm hand grabbed her hand. Leon empathetically said she may be tired, but they would be hopeless without her there. Freya's feet were blown away by this moment, but when Leon placed a bucket of mana potion, his smile turned wicked, and he told her to drink the bucket to make a quick recovery and support Noah's growth. Freya felt that creepy chills, but she ended up gulping every drop on the side. While she was on it, Leon and Noah prepared for their sparring match. That's a shield? My plate would be bigger than this. Noah made the first move, but his timing was too simple and easy to counter for his instructor, and when Leon swung his sword at him, Noah barely managed to dodge it on time. This instructor used to look down on the Francis family and even hesitated to teach the nasty eldest son of their family because of the rumors going around the city. When he got inside the mansion and met his student, Noah was polite, and it was his first time seeing a noble lower their head before. The rumors were different from what he saw because the real Noah was an incredibly hard worker, and he wanted everyone to know it and accept him by staying by his side. Noah was running out of breath on the other side, but he told himself to at least land a hit on Leon for the first time without using any tricks, just his might. He took a deep breath and activated his strength and parallel thought. Leon was surprised to see him using two skills simultaneously, and in a blink, his eyes widened because he didn't realize Noah was already behind him. He knew he couldn't dodge this one, so he had no choice but to use his shadow figure, making Noah think he had struck him, but it was only his shadow. Noah's blade pierced through the floor, making him lose balance and fly to the wall. He scratched his head in pain. Leon once again claimed victory over his student but told him his strength skill needed immense concentration, and it was rare for people to use two skills at once. Noah sighed because he was still weak, but Leon softly smiled and said it was right because he fought against an A-ranker adventurer with a shadow figure bloodline skill. Hearing the bloodline skill made Noah sulk and feel unfair. Leon smirked because his skills and hard work were praiseworthy. Noah giggled, making Leon shriek in happiness because his student was so cute. Leon gushing over his student is so adorable. He thought of making him more confident, so he asked him to go on a trip to the guild for the next lesson since he wouldn't be getting a magic lesson tomorrow because that girl was all drunk and had to recover. Since that conversation, the trip had been on his mind. He lay on his bed, excited for tomorrow, and when he closed his eyes, hours passed by, and the chicken was already awake, yet he still couldn't sleep because he kept thinking about stuff. Sivis came in, about to wake him, but he was already up. He prepared his things and went off to their journey while half asleep. After a long walk, they finally arrived at the weapon shop in the city. There were many swords displayed inside, but Leon suggested a build for Noah, and when Noah tried it out, he thought it fitted him well. After all, he is Japanese. After the purchase, they decided to head to the guild, but the curious Noah kept stopping at different stalls to look around. Inside the guild, a little boy came in asking an adventurer to help their village. Wild wolves were coming to attack, and the adults were busy defending. The man noticed the kid had made the handwriting, so he asked if he had sent a petition to the Francis family, but the boy said he hadn't received any replies from them and that they didn't really trust that family. The man agreed because the heir was too self-centered, and their city would be destroyed if he became the emperor. The Noah Francis they had been talking about was hiding, eavesdropping. He had realized his reputation was even worse than he expected after coming there, and if these people rebelled against them, he might get executed not by the demon lord but by these people. He screamed, crying like a baby, because he needed to prevent that from happening by restoring his reputation. When the little boy was refused, a huge bulky man pushed him off his way, making him drop his last money. The man towers over him, and when he is about to kick him away, Noah steps in to protect the kid. He checked on the boy to see if he was hurt. While Leon could tell the man named Hashbart, he was still quick and reckless in using his leg. Noah grabbed his clothes and stripped them off when the kid asked if he was alright. He flashed his body and said he was wearing his muscle armor. He caressed it, telling his dear biceps they were beautiful, and made a tiny voice as if the muscle replied, thanking Noah. When Hashbart noticed Leon was helping him, he figured this man was that trashy hair. The people nearby heard it and looked at Noah in disgust. He called him and leaned closer while asking him why some useless nobleman had come down from his castle. Noah looked at him and stared. Leon on the side realized this was the real perspective of his student. Noah replied, saying he came for an excursion. But the man laughed at him because no noble talentless like him could complete a guild quest without pulling a string and using his money. The bystanders began worrying because he might be digging his grave for talking like this to a noble. Hashbart ignored them and poked Noah even more by telling him to speak up, but the noble stared blankly at him. He noticed his creepy stare and wondered what he was thinking. But inside Noah's head, he was looking at his low-quality trapezius, rectus abdominis, and quads. He thought it was a waste, but it made him giggle because he knew he was better than him. He turned around and headed to the reception, ignoring the hash-brown muscle dude. Hashbart stopped them but shrugged it off since he knew Leon would probably do the quest alone for him. Leon was a Noah fanatic, so he faced him to argue and defend his student. While they were at it, the kid noticed his letter on the floor and tried grabbing it, but Hashbart stepped on it, ruining his paper. Hashbart felt the boy tugging his leg with his paper, so Leon told him to move his leg. The man smirked and mockingly asked what he would do if he wouldn't move. In a blink, a tight grip was felt on his leg. Noah firmly told him to get his foot off the kid's stuff. The commotion started gaining more attention because Hashbart kept saying he didn't feel like moving. Noah told him this letter was important, but the man scoffed and challenged him to try and move him by force with his skinny and delicate body. Noah did not hesitate and flicked him like a bottle, saying, "Muscle power." Yeah. The people dropped their jaws in shock. Noah grabbed the paper and handed it to the kid while Hashbart explained he only slipped, and that nobody would accept that request from the kid. He told the kid to make the offer higher so that someone would accept it, but it was all his money. Noah smiled at the kid and told him he would accept the request, and that he didn't need any reward for doing it. Leon asked if he was sure because this quest might be too hard, since Noah was so worried about the suffering people. His inner fanatic screamed, saying that Noah was so kind and holy. Hashbart was in disbelief because Noah, whom they knew, was different. Noah turned his back and said he would resolve any problems in their territory on behalf of his father. After that, they went northwest of the village to look for the pack of wolves, but all they encountered were small monsters. They should have been in the territory of the wild wolves for a while now, but with his detection skill, he hadn't seen one wolf. Hashbart and another man came because he was planning to kill him and make it look like monsters attacked him. But little did they know, his target had been listening to them with his enhanced hearing and detection skills. Noah waited for their attack, but Hashbart kept killing docile monsters. He proudly said the wolves weren't coming out due to his fearsome strength. Leon found it strange to see no trace of the wolves in their territory, but Noah said otherwise. He revealed to them that the wild wolves had surrounded them. The monsters stood growling at them at the cliffs surrounding them. They were surprised to see the pack this massive, which was usual. They knew why this pack was different when they spotted a huge wolf behind them. It was because of this mutated variant. Is that Zamazenta from Pokemon Go? This mutated wolf must have survived for a long time to grow this huge and strong. Hashbart was shivering in fear when their eyes met, so Leon stepped up because this mutated wild wolf was classified as an A rank, but Noah didn't care about it and figured he could do it alone. Leon gave him his word to assist him in the backline. Noah could perish in this world, but he takes pride as a member of the Lord's family and fought for the people under him with all his might. The wolves howled, and it could almost crack one's eardrums in loudness. The wolves jumped off to them after hearing the signal, and Hashbart and the man started running off, but the man was dragged and fell off the ground. Hashbart thought he would survive. The wolves were already blocking their way back, and when wolves showed their fangs at him while charging, he screamed in fear. Luckily, Noah swiftly flipped them off in one go. The giant wolf walked towards them, making Hashbart run away and tell Leon not just to stand there and rot. But Leon smiled and said there was no need for him to interrupt. He remembered how his student wielded his katana and thought he had done some secret training, but it turned out it was his first time holding one. Noah was confident with his skills and closed his eyes. Hashbart gasped because the fool closed his eyes on defeat. Noah found it strange not to feel nervous when the mutated wolf came rushing to him. It might be his confidence with the katana, and when the monster got closer, he felt a new power within him was activated. His swordsmanship was at its peak in a slash, and he took the monster down without breaking a sweat. Hashbart was speechless, and when another wolf tried to bite him, Noah saved his life again. He hid under Leon's skirt in anxiety, and the pack was cleared. The villagers nearby prepared them a meal to thank them. The kid called him and thanked him for his kindness. Noah smiled and asked him to repeat it. The kid said he was a good person, and Noah kept making him repeat it. After his ego was satisfied, he devoured the wolf meat with his bare hands. He giggled because Sebas had been nagging him about manners, but the person he was talking about was already beside him, glaring at his hands. Noah shrieked in shock when Sebas said he was eating in an unsophisticated way. The night was getting cold, and after eating, Sebas dragged him back to the mansion to prepare to drill proper manners into his head. Behold the scariest thing in the world, a butler instilling etiquette. After that night, Noah was sent to the noble education facility to teach him noble proper manners before attending the academy. But he was so uneasy upon realizing Cecil Edward, his fiancée, was there. The instructor asked them to pair up with the opposite gender, and almost everyone already had a partner. He panicked as he thought he might end up being alone, but when he heard a woman asking him to be his partner, his jaw dropped. He saw Cecil greeting him by his name. Their first lesson was to dance, but Noah kept stepping on her foot because he didn't know how to dance. In the game, Cecil and the hero end up together, and if ruined, he might end up robbing her of her happily ever after. He wanted Cecil to hate her immediately and get slapped in the face, just as the story went before. He thought of grabbing her trucks. His hands were shaking as it got near, but he suddenly turned, spun like a drunken monkey, and said he couldn't do it. Cecil praised his spin skill, but Noah suddenly asked if she was okay about getting married to someone she didn't love. Cecil was caught off guard. She chuckled and said she never had the right to choose her own partner, and Noah knew it because she was raised without any love. Cecil was born to a mistress, and since Edward had no children, they had to legitimize the child of a mistress reluctantly. Noah thought if her parents loved her, they would never engage her with a scum like Noah Francis, so he would do his best to make her end up with the hero. He suddenly blurted out that Cecil should try to decide for herself, which caught her off guard from dancing. She didn't expect him to say such a thing, and suddenly a fatso was scolding his partner for stepping on his foot repeatedly. The woman was apologizing, but the pig said this was why he didn't want to get engaged to a girl like her. The fatso's butler tried to calm him down because many eyes were looking at them, but he didn't care. He told the woman her family would crumble if she weren't engaged to him. The woman bit her lips and remained silent, soaking up every insult his fiancé was throwing at him. Noah sighed because the man was going too far, but Cecil said it couldn't be helped. The woman was so ashamed of the situation, but this glutton hadn't had enough of her and kept shaming her. Cecil looked away but noticed her partner gritting his teeth. When the man lifted his hand, aiming to slap the woman for disobeying him, Noah couldn't take it anymore and used his flash step to grab the woman away, saving her from further pain. The fatso swung his hand in empty air and lost balance like Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. The people gasped, surprised to see how fast he saved the woman. Noah checked and asked the woman if she was alright, but bruises were seen when her sleeves slipped a little. She gasped and pulled it up to hide it, making Noah curse the man for hurting the girl. The man scolded him, but some men warned him because that man was Noah Francis. When Noah looked back and said people who hurt others would receive no mercy from him, the fatso jolted. He also told the woman to speak up if someone is abusing her. He pulled his handkerchief, offered it to her, and told her to count on him if she needed help. Cecil's eyes glimmered in awe because Noah was far different from the rumors. Her interest in him was boiling over the mysterious Noah. He tried asking the woman if she would like him as a partner to escape Cecil, but his fiancé approached him, asking if he didn't like practicing with her. He panicked and said he was just so bad at dancing, and he might be bothering her. But Cecil didn't mind it because she was starting to think Noah Francis was a great person. His cheeks flushed to see her charming smile. The two ended up dancing together. Cecil guided him on every step, and when they heard the woman declaring earlier that she would annul her engagement with him, they paused. Seeing how the man was heartbroken reminds him of how Cecil dumps Noah in the future. The lesson was done before getting dark, and someone had been watching Noah through the magic crystal in a house in the mountains. A talking cat couldn't believe Noah even defeated the pack of wolves, and ever since then, the whole territory's mood had improved. Their plan of inciting a riot in the kingdom by using the Francis family's bad reputation to stoke the people's dissatisfaction had been failing. Albus, the Mage of Scales, thought killing Noah would be a quicker solution for him, and Mia agreed with him. Albus told Mia to go annihilate the hero while he took care of Noah. After all, he believed that Noah's strength wasn't up to par with his. Just look at his struggle to pull the ropes apart. I guess his death was already set in stone. After Cecil's interaction with Noah at the Noble Education Facility, she goes to visit him without notice, but Sebas tells her it is alright because his lord would be pleased to see her. He escorted her to the training ground, and her eyes widened when he saw Noah's training routine. He was carrying this much weight while maintaining his balance on the muscle pyramid. Bro's on that Sigma grind set. He was too focused on it, and when he spotted Cecil, his face turned red, and he forgot the man he was holding. The pyramid collapsed as he stepped out. Cecil said she wasn't getting any reply, so she visited him personally to check on him. She told him they should drop the formalities and stuttered when he asked for something. He waited for it, and when she blurted out that she wanted to feel the stone, he screamed like a tomato. Just imagine that. The men around them laughed a little and got jealous. Cecil moved closer and asked if it was okay. He gulped and trembled in embarrassment, but still gave her permission. When she touched it, Cecil noticed how hard the stone was and twitched every time she touched it. What a weird way to compliment a stone. Noah kept his eyes closed, bearing the situation firmly. Seeing him release a weird sound every time she touched the stone made her laugh. While they were talking, some dark, eerie shadow lurked behind the tree. Kiara almost broke her teeth after gritting angrily and cursing the woman. When Cecil felt her piercing glares, she walked closer and realized it was Kiara. She greeted her. She smiled at her and said she would be looking forward to being her sister-in-law. Kiara greeted her as well, but Noah wondered why he could feel an overwhelming tension between them. He didn't butt in and proceed with his training, making Cecil sigh because after getting no reply, she went there to hang out with him, but still ended up failing. Kiara heard her and thought her brother would be scared to receive a mountain of letters, so they held it off. She told Cecil that it wasn't that her brother hated her, but he was just too busy training and studying all day by himself. Cecil remembered how he first met him and thought how strong he looked. She giggled as she thought her husband was a personification of hard work, and as wide it was her duty to cheer on him. Cecil stayed and waited for him until dinner, and Noah was glad the food suited her taste. Cecil asked if he knew about the 12 mages. Noah remembered that in the game, the mages act in the shadows and specialize in killing, and these 12 would try executing the hero many times throughout the game. Noah calmly replied, saying he had heard about them, but Cecil pinched his cheeks and told him not to act calmly because they might as well come after him. It was because their family had a monopoly on national trade, and many people would love them gone, but Noah was determined to protect his family. These 12 mages may look like they are after money. She released his cheeks and said their true desire was to form their own country. So Cecil wanted him to be careful. Even if she almost plucked off his cheeks, he still thinks of Cecil as knowledgeable. A butler served the main dish to the table. Sebas asked him to take out the trash, and he followed. He carried the bag outside to the back part of the mansion, and when he opened it, the real body of the butler was tied up, trying to scream. The fake butler smirked, telling him garbage doesn't make noises. He smirked as he turned back to his form. Albus said even if they had a poison tester, it was child's play for him. He put a dragon tranquilizer in the meat so that in an hour, Noah would be in a deep sleep and execute him. Meanwhile, they were still eating when Noah said he was feeling sleepy for some reason. After eating, they went to their beds to rest, and it was time for Albus to strike. He carefully went to Noah's room, where Noah was sleeping like a baby. He crawled to the bed to send him to the next life peacefully. He didn't realize the bed was empty, and his target was already behind him. Noah kicked him with full force, sending him off through the window and out of the mansion grounds. Albus groaned as he got up, wondering what happened. His eyes widened when he saw Noah, saying he wasn't happy about an old man sneaking into his bed. Albus couldn't believe he was awake after being drugged. He heard his murmur and figured out why he slept so well. Noah even thanks him for giving him proper sleep. Albus had no choice but to face him with the king of the underworld's sword. He looked blankly at him, telling him he would end his life at this moment and make sure everyone related to him would follow. Noah realized he had been trying to become stronger to protect himself and prevent that embarrassing death. But now it was different. He wanted to protect himself and those he cared about, so he took the sword out and pulled the katana out, telling him to come to him and face his muscle power. "No way," bro said. "My muscles, yeah, unironically, goat." They exchanged blows from their speeds, and for a mage, Albus was quite skilled with his weapon. While their blades clashed, the mage activated his magical weapon. He lifted it in the air and ordered it to pierce his enemy with 100 spears raining on Noah. "Spear of many, pierce my enemy." This old man was speaking bars. Luckily, Noah was fast enough to dodge it one by one and remained unscathed. He still had the advantage when it came to swordsmanship, but his magic powers were getting in his way. Noah had decided to try out his fire magic, and when he released his fireball, Albus looked at it in disgust and blocked it easily. He said such a weak spell wouldn't hurt him, but Noah didn't plan on hurting him with magic. He flash-stepped after he got distracted and released a composed claw at him. The blade left a deep, fatal wound across his body. Albus' blood was dripping endlessly, making him incapable of fighting any longer with his current wound. The mage activated his magic. Albus' power was lingering around him, and when he stood up, he raised a brow and asked what wound he was talking about. Noah figured the flames in the scale were Albus' request, and by offering an equivalent value to the other side, it would be granted. The mage was surprised to learn this kid knew his magic. He stabbed the dagger to the ground and said even if he saw through his magic, Noah could never defeat him. Noah ignored him and mumbled that his magic could be of help to him with his muscle building. He found it very interesting, making Albus think the kid was mocking him, so he activated a huge magic circle beneath him by channeling his power through the dagger on the floor. The mage smirked because Noah didn't see it coming. He cursed when the bone-burning hell spell was activated. Albus laughed devilishly because even an A-ranker would be burned to ash if they were caught inside. But he celebrated too soon. Noah was still alive, grinning through the flames, and said he would need more heat to hurt him. Albus almost got his beard bald after being shocked. Noah sighed and wondered if he truly was one of the 12 mages because Freysia had more power than him. He sighed because Sebas would scold him for his clothes getting burned. The mage slipped his hand through his coat and pulled out a horn. Noah was surprised because that crystal dragon's horn was super rare, and if Albus used it as compensation, what wish did he ask? The sky started rumbling when the magic triggered. The night sky became colder, and a huge box from another world came down. Albus swayed the densest, hardest, and largest magic stone at Noah to crush him. And when it fell, the mage smirked and even complimented the kid for going this far against him. It took him a second to realize the kid was alive and lifting the huge stone as if he were only in his muscle pyramid. Yeah. Noah suddenly realized he should use this for his training and started mumbling about his plan and how it could help him. On the side, Albus was sweating because the scales got overpowered by muscles, but he suddenly paused when he noticed something. Noah had thrown the stone back to him, and right in time, Leon asked if he was alright. Noah waved at them with a smile, and when the mage tried crawling out of the stone, he saw the macho monster before him. The four smiled creepily at him, telling him to call them muscles instead. Their grins made Albus shiver in fear and scream for his mommy's help. The following day, the muscle guys were doing their daily laps while chanting their muscle song, and behind them was the skinny old mage, about to voluntarily lay on his grave. I thought that guy had some muscle, but it's the cape that made him huge. Cecil asks why the enemy was running with him, but he just says they caught him, sounding like he picked up a stray sphinx cat. They thought of handing him to the guards, but all that awaited him, there was being sentenced to death for all his crimes. So Leon thought of employing him for Noah's sake. Would this old man be of use to him? Just look at him twitching on the floor in exhaustion. Noah believed they could make Albus appreciate the joy of muscle training someday. Leon helped him get up because his training had just started, and suddenly, Freysia approached him and bragged about her job getting easier thanks to the new mage joining them. She wondered what she would do for her free time, but Leon explained this man would only function as a mana fountain for her to fire as many spells at Noah. He got turned into a mana battery, but at least he's still alive. When Leon dragged her to the barrel, Albus called her and asked if they were in hell. She cursed him and told him to show her some respect, so he called her master. Noah started stretching and asked Cecil if she would like to join him in making something. Of course, it was not about making a baby, but about making muscle training equipment. It kind of feels like all the male characters in this story are demented, but it is glorious. Another day for muscle training. Noah was busy with all the ingredients he had gathered. He called Albus to produce more healing potions and dropped coins into his weapon to wish for more potions. Cecil had been watching him and wondered what he was doing, so Sebas explained his lord had taken an interest in alchemy lately. Noah created different variants of dumbbells, and by using mana, he created dumbbells that could fly, one that exploded and another one that was 10 times as heavy. The machos had been using these things and said they could even hear their muscles crying out loud in joy. They were all amazed at how much he had grown since he was a kid, just like their muscles. Cecil sighed because they were making it sound like raising kids and bodybuilding were the same. Meanwhile, Albus ran to the side to hide from the perverted muscle monsters and wondered how Mia was doing and if it managed to execute the hero. Speaking of the cat, he did go according to the plan to kill the hero. Somehow, the hero was still alive. The light peeked through the waves of clouds and shined at him. He was inside the forest because he fought against the cat mage guy. However, it looks like Mia failed. Look at her being grabbed like a pet by Arthur Merriam, the hero. He suddenly jolted because he forgot to take in the laundry before leaving. He sighed, and although the hero may be an idiot, he was super strong. I think he and Noah would get along. Arthur shrugged the worries and said it was fine because he managed to meet McFaddy. Mia cursed after hearing his name, making Arthur blink, wondering if the cat did talk. Out of fear of getting beaten, Mia fakes a meow while screaming for help from Albus inside her head. Going back, Noah handed a dumbbell he made for Cecil. She was confused and she took it since he was too persistent. She doesn't know if she should be happy with his first gift. But suddenly Sebas comes. He spoke with his young master and told him giving Cecil a dumbbell was rude. Noah took the little box, and Sebas told him women remember every present they give them and mistakes that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. Noah wondered if Sebas was speaking from experience, so he decided to follow his advice. He called her and gave the box to her. Cecil opened it, and Noah was surprised to see a ring inside it. He glared at Sebas, cursing him inside his head for tricking him. When he moved closer, Sebas explained he would be hopeless on his own, which was true. Cecil couldn't help but stare at the ring's beauty. She asked Noah if he could put it on her, leaving him speechless. Sebas butted in, saying he mustn't make her feel lonely again, so Noah had no choice but to put it on her finger. The situation flushed them. Noah knew this woman was indeed beautiful and kind, but deep inside, he also knew that she wasn't for him to love, but for the hero only. Cecil smiled at him, saying she would treasure this gift for the rest of her life. Her charm made him flinch and step back like he had a heart attack. Cecil panicked but said he was fine and redirected the conversation to muscle training. The butlers raised their hands because they wanted another dumbbell he created, so he went on again doing alchemy. Sebas apologized to Cecil for his lord taking the time to present her with an engagement ring, but she said she wasn't mad. She said she understands Noah a little better now. She had been hearing the rumors, but nothing could be further from the truth. Sebas said the rumors were right long ago, which confused Cecil. He added that Noah had changed by himself and had turned into a wonderful person. Cecil smiled and agreed that Noah was wonderful. She finally saw the picture of the true Noah with her own eyes. Sebas was glad she could see Noah's good side. He asked why she came there again, and Cecil said it was coming very soon, but Sebas reminded her Noah would have to endure no muscle training for the time being. After a long training day for Noah, he checked his stats and noticed a section saying he had muscle intelligence. He was hoping it would be knowledge that would boost his comprehension, but it turned out that his mind was entirely dominated by muscles, as if it was calling him a methed. He aggressively tapped it to see more information, but Sebas came in and told him he had forgotten something important. He said he only had 1 year left to prepare for the entrance exam in the capital. Noah said, "Oh," and continued pumping his dumbbell. Sebas sighed and stopped him. He looked at him and asked Sebas why he looked like he would eat him alive, so his butler declared that he forbid any muscle training until the exam was over. Noah screamed like he saw Beetlejuice, the ghost. His hope and drive to live were banished in the dust. He cried, winning, and said he didn't want to study. He stood up, trying to run away for his date with his biceps, but Sebas threateningly asked him if he didn't care what happened to his dumbbell. Noah screamed the dumbbell's name, Dan, and instantly knelt before Sebas. He asked if he could pay them to make him enter the academy. Still, since he had been restoring his reputation recently, he had no choice but to take this opportunity to prove them all wrong by going through the exam like any other student. When Sebas told him to work hard and take the top spot with muscles, Noah's eyes sparkled as he visions himself looking like a flexing bullfrog in the top spot. The butler informed him he had called an exceptional tutor to help him study, and a woman with long, beautiful legs came in to greet him. Noah's cheeks turned red as he realized this tutor was his fiancé, Cecil. He suddenly asked why she wore such formal clothes, so she thought it would be better without them. Noah screamed, covering his eyes as she stripped off her clothes, and asked if her swimsuit was enough to motivate him to study. "All right, boys, line up. Sign us up, Cecil. Teach us how to love." Noah peeked a little and noticed her pretty good abs, making him remember she might be a fellow muscle lover since she asked to touch his muscle before. Cecil leaned closer and told him not to worry because she would be taking the exam with him. He was inspired somehow by her diligence, so he stripped off his clothes as well, and I guess people in this story like to shed clothes randomly. They head on to their study, starting with history. He sat on the chair to listen to the structure and posts of the capital's magic association, but Noah immediately collapsed. His last brain cell might have died. Sebas ran to him as he realized it was a muscle study rejection reaction, a disease where muscles cut off all electrical signals to the body when studying. Cecil sighed because she figured Noah just didn't want to study. She shook his body to wake him, but it wasn't working. Sebas came up with the idea of promising him a reward like a dumbbell, but Cecil thought rewarding something coming from a girl would be suitable for his age. Sebas felt insulted because dumbbells were superior to anything, and there she was, defeated by a dumbbell. They stared at Noah for a moment and realized he had built quite a lot of muscles, and it was twice bigger than before. Cecil was feeling drawn to touching his muscles, but suddenly Noah woke up. He started screaming when Sebas said he would confiscate all his dumbbells if he kept sleeping. Cecil acted like she was playing with her hands because of embarrassment. She told him they should continue studying, but Noah wondered why she was all red like an apple. The 12 mages gathered for an emergency meeting after knowing that both the whereabouts of Albus and Mia were unknown. Lisa, one of the 12, wondered if the cat's strength couldn't match her opponent's strength. Flamma asked who her target was, and when they said it was the hero, they realized Arthur was quite strong. Flamma was confused about why Albus failed to take down Francis when he acknowledged his strength. The man at the top of their rankings said they should face the problem on their own now by persuading or killing Noah Francis, all for the grand purpose of the 12 mages. Lisa sighed because number 1 was so strict, and when the sand went empty, they were told to deal with it immediately. The meeting was dismissed, so number 1 flicked the hourglass and rolled over Lisa. She rolled her eyes, saying those people were only arrogant because of their strength, but Flamma said too much power often comes with a few. He asked her if she had finished her investigation on Francis' territory, and she nodded in response. Her hair elongated and placed the papers of Sebas, Anbar, and Orga. They were all Noah's muscle buddies / butlers, and they all possessed monstrous strength. They made a wrong move by sending Albus alone to that hellish mansion. Lisa asked Flamma what they would do with the Francis family, but he said they should just grieve the loss of Albus. However, they still had a job, to kidnap the second princess, Clay Leoris. Lisa smirked because she remembered the princess was actually heading to Francis' territory. They agreed on taking down 2 birds in 1 stone. Flamma and Lisa got up to hunt down the prey and clean up the mess. Flamma decided to take revenge for his friend Albus. Meanwhile, inside the Francis mansion, Anbar rushed to Sebas worriedly and showed him that their young master had escaped his room. Cecil couldn't believe Noah could break the thick metal locking the room. She also couldn't believe Anbar got distracted when Noah gave him a dumbbell. Sebas asked him to call the muscle troop immediately. Cecil told them not to worry because Noah was strong, and Noah being strong was actually why Sebas was worried, because he had forced him into a life of muscle abstinence to get him to study. His muscle desire might burst, and they could only imagine what could happen. It seems that Noah had taken a long trip to escape their lectures and study. Run free, Noah. Your nightmare would be chasing after you. Flamma and Lisa arrived at the Francis territory. They hid in an underground room, and Flamma brought a cute little bunny. He asked Lisa for a strand of hair, making her sigh because she had just finished combing her hair. The hair strand was pushed inside the rabbit's ear tunnel, and the animal started twitching and crying when it got inside. When the rabbit stopped, it opened its eyes, and its eyes were pitch black like an empty soul. A woman suddenly groaned as she gained consciousness. Lisa turned to her to greet the princess. Clay glared at them, saying they wouldn't get away from this, but Lisa smirked and mockingly said nobody would come and save her because even 30 royal knights wouldn't stand against the 2 of them. Princess Clay exclaimed they only succeeded because of their dirty tricks, but she was cut off when Lisa grabbed her clothes and revealed the twin Nut and Fuji. She felt hopeless and told them not to look at her, but Lisa laughed devilishly, saying she was a virgin based on her innocent reaction. Flamma sighed as he turned around, leaving her business alone. Lisa smirked, pressing her knee to the princess's dark cave, and said she would just enjoy herself before they unalive her. She licked her skin while novelly wondering what a princess would taste like. Clay started screaming, making Flamma curse the lunatic Lisa, and reminding her that they should start by reporting that they had captured the princess. He lifted his hand to activate the submission magic, and a magical collar materialized around the rabbit. Flamma was asked what he was doing, so he explained this skill would allow him to dominate the body and mind of any target with his submission, and by implanting Lisa's hair. Noah nodded as he continued lifting his dumbbell, and when Flamma realized an unfamiliar person had infiltrated the room, he cast the dragon breath magic at him. The impact created a loud boom, making Lisa curse him for interrupting the climax. When he said there was an intruder, she was surprised because she covered the room with her powerful hair. Noah sighed and said they were rude for suddenly casting a spell on him. He glared at him because he had almost damaged his precious Dan, who was the dumbbell. Flamma dropped his jaw upon realizing Noah, their second target, was already before them. Noah was currently on a trip with Dan to taste freedom. He went through the streets, buying food from every stall he saw while pumping the dumbbell. He never misses a chance. Suddenly, Hashbart pushed him off the way, thinking it was a beggar. Noah gasped as he saw his dumbbell fall on the floor. He glared at him and greeted him with a smile when he realized it was Hasbart. Hasbart stuttered as he figured it was the monstrous Noah, so he asked why he was in the town, and he just said he was on a trip with Dan. But Hashbart didn't see any other person that would name Dan. When Noah went on asking him to talk about muscle love with him, Hasbart took his chance to run for his life from this insane kid. Noah was chasing him, but when he noticed something, he halted. He looked to the side as he sensed people down the room, and 2 of them had a similar aura to Albus. It bothered him more than getting Dan hurt, so he decided to go there and greet them. He noticed the woman tied up nearby, and when he realized 2 sharp bazookas were pointing at him, he screamed as he covered his eyes. Princess Clay warned him that these two were part of the 12 mages, but her words were cut off when Lisa shut her lips with a kiss. Noah was shocked. It was his first time seeing a kiss between girls. Flamma thought Noah spared them the trouble of looking for him. Noah looked at him and realized he was the subjugator, and this woman was Magic Hair Lisa. As far as he could remember, their stats were higher than him. He was contemplating whether he should follow the princess's advice to run away, but Flamma thanked him for voluntarily walking into the lion's den. Lisa smirked and told him not to run away from them with her soft voice. Noah glared at them as he said running away was out of the question. Flamma commended his courage, and when the two were on Noah's opposite sides, he placed Dan for a while. Lisa immediately attacked with her 1,000-hair stampede skill. Luckily, Noah had a fast reflex, but a scratch was left on his cheek. He drew his sword and deflected Sadako's hair. Lisa continued attacking, and Noah was near to getting stabbed with her speed and force. His side was wounded, so he had no choice but to narrow detection of the whole room. He activated his parallel thought and used observation skills to track their movements and missed not one bit. And when Lisa tried attacking again, she was surprised to see him catching up with her moves. She frustratingly told Flamma to do something, so he lifted his hands to activate his subjugation on Gigantos. Simultaneously, Liz pulled her attack to release another one, called the 1,000 Fingers Demon Skill. Noah jumped to slash the hair off, and when he noticed a heating magic circle near his back, he looked up. He cursed in the air as a giant arm emerged from the circle to crush him. The ground was shattered to pieces, and the mages didn't hear any voices from Noah, so they thought he finally perished. Lisa said they should move their base because the noise must have been heard from outside. Flamma agreed and said Noah was indeed stronger than the princess's guard. However, they heard Noah groaning. Flamma turned around, making Lisa ask what was wrong. They heard a weak voice saying yeah. The yeah continued, which was a sign Noah was doing muscle training. Their eyes widened to see him lifting the giant's arm without sweating. Noah wasn't even shaking from the weight, and the mages could believe that attack didn't lead damage on this brat. When Noah reached the highest point of lifting, he threw the arm at them, but the mages ran away, escaping death, but the giant took the blow. Noah blew air out and was surprised he didn't get any wounds, even if there was a huge difference in their stats. He smiled and thought his precious muscles had saved him. Flamma exclaimed that any normal human would have gotten crushed by that. Noah rolled his eyes and said they had no common sense, but it didn't make sense when Flamma mentioned his clothes getting ripped while he remained unscathed. Noah went silent because he did have a point. Lisa said he was getting in the way of their important work. Noah frowned and asked if their mission was to kidnap and kiss this girl. Lisa scratched her head in frustration because this Francis family was getting annoying. She gave Flamma a signal to commence their trump card, so he touched her hair. Lisa kept her eyes on Noah and told him that if they combined their powers, they would be more powerful through mana sharing. Noah remained silent, watching them, a black snake made out of Lisa's hair and Flamma's domination. The snake hissed and blew multiple hairballs at Noah. It was like one of those Plants in Plants vs. Zombies. While Noah dodged the attacks, some knights started gaining consciousness. Noah noticed them and warned them not to get hit by the hair because it would control their mind and body. Noah was now in a tighter spot with their powers combined. Flamma summoned his magic dog, making it impossible for Noah to use Flash Step to close their distance because the dog would get in his way, and if he used his magic, the hostage would get caught up. Noah knew he had to defeat them before Lisa's attacks could land on him. He took his sword and remembered what he learned from his training with Cecil. Surprisingly, she accepted his challenge for a match. She was so happy to be of help to him and teach him the Edward style that won the last Royal Swordsmanship tournament. Leon called Noah and informed him that Cecil was known to be the Starry Sky because her opponents were taken down the moment they took their guard down. He was somehow amazed by it and thought he still wouldn't use his strength against a woman, and soon after their match, he deeply regretted not using it because he lost. By remembering his analysis of her moves, he copied it and installed a perfect copy inside him, embodying the Edward style. When Noah changed his fighting stance, Lisa scoffed at his mimicry and blew another attack at him. Noah remained composed, and when he found the perfect timing, he leaped in a split second with the 7-star step. Lisa's eyes widened as she saw Noah about to pierce his blade through her flesh, so Flamma made a move. He commanded his magic dog to save her, so Lisa was pushed to the side. Noah's attack landed on the ground, creating a massive explosion and destroying the floor. Seeing the impact made Lisa wince because she almost got her head cut off. They couldn't believe he produced such power and realized they were up to a no ordinary human. Flamma panicked and said they should end this quickly. But Lisa's hair had gone thinner and shorter from all the attacks from Noah. Flamma had no choice but to move in, so he asked Lisa to cover for him. Noah knew the swordsmanship he learned from Cecil was used to protect. Cecil told Noah that he could also protect people in his own ways. He smiled, remembering these moments. When a loud roar echoes throughout the room, Flamma is done summoning the Ice Dragon Blast. Lisa was also ready to attack, but after realizing he flawlessly performed the Edward-style swordsmanship, he knew everything would go smoothly along his plan. The mages trapped him inside a dome, but Noah looked at them as he activated the protection of the vast, starry sky. The glimmering light from Noah blasted through the sky, and its power was enough to destroy the building they were in. When his power subsided, Lisa trembled as she got up, asking what kind of a human he was. Noah picked up Dan and faced them. He smiled and said they were looking at the heir to the duchy who loves muscles and his people. Lisa laughed as he fell on her back, saying his muscles were awesome. Muscle justice was served. A few moments in the Francis mansion, the runaway hare was finally captured alongside the mages. Noah had a sign around his neck saying he was guilty of breaking their door in a town. Cecil kept asking Sebas if they could just forgive him, but he was firm on saying Noah ruined the town, and all his work on fixing his bad reputation went down the drain. A woman came in, telling them to forgive him. Princess Clay told them Noah should even be promoted because of what he did. She knelt before Noah and formally thanked him for his help. The staff dropped their jaw to see the princess bowing to their young master like this. Clay apologized for thinking Noah pulled a string to make Cecil his fiancé, yet the man she suspected ended up saving her. Noah told her it was fine since if something happened to her in their territory, their family would be doomed. Clay stood up and said she was starting to envy Cecil because Noah was a good man. She asked if he had a land in mind he wanted or a promotion in the peerage, but he immediately refused. Clay tried asking if he wanted money instead, but he firmly said he didn't need it. The princess was running out of ideas to reward him, so Noah tried asking her if he could have just had those 2 mages from the 12. They all gasped in shock. Even the knights couldn't help but say those criminals were already sentenced to death the moment they touched the princess. Noah stalked him and said Flamen didn't kill anyone because he was a control freak. He prefers dominating them and storing them with dimensional magic. Hearing it made Flamen shocked because he knew all of it. It was thanks to that strategy guide he read. Noah said if Flamen would release all those knights, the 2 of them should stay in his mansion. The princess agreed because she needed those guards back to life. The offer looked good to Flamen, so he accepted it rather than facing a death sentence. Out of the blue, Albus came out, nervously asking how they captured them. Flamen was surprised and relieved to see his friend alive, but he jolted when Albus started exclaiming that going to the capital and getting executed was much better than staying there. Flamen couldn't understand him when he started crying on the floor, screamed that muscles were coming to get him. Flamen couldn't believe his friend might have gone insane. Albus went on saying Leon kept showing up in his nightmares to force-feed him a bucket of mana potion. While he blabbed about his unbelievable traumas, Flamen asked who Leon was, so Noah casually said it was his teacher. Clay even asked if she could spar with Leon, but Noah refused because Liam was a monster with a sword. Sivas took the key to open the cage while Flamen kept nagging Albus, trying to make him regain his sanity. When Noah got out, he paused as he noticed Lisa had gone missing. The princess panicked, but Noah told her not to worry because she could never escape the mansion. Speaking of Lisa, she was huffing for air as she made her way to the hall. She went up to the stairs, saying there was no way she would perish over her drop-dead gorgeous body. She smirked and looked around for the door leading outside. When she spotted it, she thought the hall was empty, but she was surprised when someone called her. She didn't sense Leon's presence as he approached. He told her she shouldn't be walking around without an escort. She was relieved because the type of a man like him was kind and easy to trick. Liam added that they hadn't had any outsiders recently other than Albus, but she suddenly faked losing balance to make him touch her. When he asked if she was right, Lisa said she was dragged there against her will. She started begging him to help her and that she would do anything for him. When she noticed he was curious, she smirked, touched his majestic trouser giant, and said she could even join him in bed. Leon seemed interested, making her laugh inside her head, thinking she got him. When he asked if she uses magic, she confusedly said yes. He smiled and asked if she had any special skills, making her wonder why the sudden interview. Leon rushed to the bucket and said he had been looking for someone like her who sleeps well and properly recovers their mana. Lisa winced in fear as she realized he was holding a bucket of mana potion. Leon grinned as he said he tried adding strawberry flavor to make it tastier and forced her to drink up. The mansion was filled with Lisa's screams, and after an hour, Albus and Lisa became a mana tank while Freesia sat there as if she were on a glutathione drip session. The following day, the muscle troop woke up early to take a bath together. I guess those who bathe together grow stronger. They had been noticing Noah's chest had grown bigger. They started comparing their muscles under the steam. This overwhelming display of muscles makes me a little thirsty. When they finished, they all headed out to run around the town as their usual routine. A clean day starts with clean and thrilled muscles. The townspeople had been noticing them, and the moment they were done, a hologram pooped before Noah, saying he got a strip skill. Noah almost cursed because of the skill, and when he tried it and tricked his clothes, he felt free and happier. His 2 butlers saw him and joined him as well. Some ladies nearby commented that they had amazing builds. Noah had been noticing having a pretty body was like being a handsome man. They both attract women, so he kept flexing to feed their eyes. Sebas suddenly approached him and said he had got the hang of stripping. Noah nodded and said he was confident now, so the butter tossed him in the air, saying muscles are the new pinnacle of fashion. When they went on doing the handstand run, Albus was chasing them like a zombie. Sebas told him to put out some muscle. He ripped his shirt off, flexing his ultra-dense magical stone vest that Noah had made. He smirked because Albus looked jealous, so he advised him to work harder to get Noah to gift him something. Albus proceeded to do a handstand to follow them, and after a few more minutes they were done. Flamma slammed his body down the floor in exhaustion, and when he opened his eyes, he saw the butthole of a dog. Meanwhile, at the entrance of the town, Arthur the hero had arrived, looking for the muscle troop with the cat in his arms like a pet. With Noah's enhanced hearing, he heard him mention their troop and wondered how their group became this known. He called him and asked why he was looking for them. Arthur gasped upon realizing they were the muscle geniuses, so he immediately asked if he could touch his muscles. Noah let him be while he stared at his face. He was confused to see the hero there because he shouldn't be there right now. His butlers slid in, asking the visitor to touch theirs as well, and Arthur excitedly felt them and commended them. He didn't realize his cat had run loose. Mia walked tiredly away from the hero, and when she noticed Albus all miserable on the side, she rushed to him, asking why he wasn't on his mission to kill the noble, but Albie threw it back at her, asking why she didn't go off to execute the hero. Mia sighed, admitting she lost, so Albus admitted that he also failed to kill Noah. Two failures widened their eyes as they met, realizing both were kept as pets by their targets. Back in the mansion, Noah wrote his father a letter asking how he was doing. He mentioned there that he had been training his muscles, magic power, and sword skills inside the mansion. He added that their house had become livelier because of the new friends at the mansion, who had turned this mansion into a sea of endless smiles. When the dinner came, Noah felt lonely with empty seats before him, so he asked the staff to join him. Throughout the meal, Kira was blasted with endless muscle talk around her. The day finally came when Noah and his group headed to the capital, but Noah had no idea that he had already wrecked more than half the game's story at this point. Thus begins the tale of a man reborn, not as a hero, but as Noah, a doomed villain in a game world. Refusing to accept an embarrassing end, he turns to the ultimate stat boost, which is his muscle power. Yeah. With Dan, his dumbbell, and his shredded squad, Noah trains relentlessly, trading schemes for squats. But can raw strength carry him through the Academy's entrance exam, or will he just punch his way in? Each flex shifts the story's fate. Will destiny follow the script, or will Noah's gains rewrite it entirely? Find out in the next episode. Punch that subscribe button, kiss the like button, and remember, stay pumped, stay powerful, and never skip muscle day. See you soon, legends.